Welcome to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, where we aim to help fellow veterinary rehab therapists increase their knowledge and elevate their practice. I'm Megan Kelly.
And I'm Ané and Lloyd. Together, we bring you the latest insights, research, and information in the field of veterinary rehabilitation.
This podcast is brought to you by Online Pet Health, a leading continuing education membership for veterinary rehabilitation therapists. With Online Pet Health, you'll have access to a wide range of online resources to help you stay up to date with the latest techniques, advances, and trends in the industry.
Our podcast features in-depth conversations with leading experts in veterinary rehabilitation. They share their own experiences and knowledge to help you improve your practice. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the field, our goal is to provide you with the tools and the insights you need to succeed.
So join us as we explore the exciting world of veterinary rehabilitation and help you take your practice to the next level. Hey vet rehabbers, wishing you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah. Today, Ané and I reflect on the lessons we've learned over the past year, a year that's been challenging for both of us in many ways. Ané juggled the demands of studying, sitting exams and plates, working full-time and raising her 2-year-old and her 5-year-old. On my side, many of you know my husband suffered a stroke this year, which really impacted on my family. My middle child developed post-traumatic stress and severe health anxiety, which led us to make the decision to homeschool her. But despite all of these hurdles, both Ané and I have grown and learned a great deal, and we're really excited to share those insights with you. So we also dive into some of the new initiatives at Online Pet Health. For example, like the launch of our private label rights digital products and why we're so excited about them, and we chat more about it in the podcast. Now, if you're not a member already of our amazing online community of vet rehabbers from all over the world, they gather in our Facebook groups. So you can head over to Facebook and request to be part of the action, or you can follow the links in the description. Our groups include small animal vet rehabbers, equine vet rehabbers, hydro vet rehabbers, and our business vet rehabbers. And that one is for those that are juggling patient care and running your own practice. Now, in these groups, we regularly share tips, advice, we host live sessions with experts to support you on your vet rehab journey. Before we head over to the podcast, a quick word from our sponsor. Nada first developed her courses at the Colorado State University, where she started the Medical Acupuncture for Veterinarian Certificate program in 1998. In so doing, Dr. Robinson developed a science-based platform for veterinary acupuncture, the first of its kind. Today, Curacao Vet offers a comprehensive curriculum in integrative medicine with a rational, evidence-supported foundation. The courses they have include medical acupuncture, photomedicine, botanical medicine, medical massage, and integrative rehabilitation. You can discover Curacao Vet at curacao.org. All right, and our last podcast for the year, over to Ané and me. Hey Ané, Merry Christmas!
Hi, Merry Christmas. You don't celebrate Christmas, Meg.
No, I don't, but you do. So I can wish other people. So we don't celebrate it, but yeah, we can wish you. I actually love Christmas, even though we don't celebrate. So I love the time and I love all the decorations and things like that. So yeah, I'm here embracing Christmas today.
Fantastic. It's not my favorite time of the year.
Really?
My kids love it.
You always have one person in a family that is like crazy about Christmas, right? You have to have that one person.
And somehow they're balanced with the person who's like, could we just pretend that this is not happening?
So you're not a Boney M fan?
I'm not a fan of just the whole thing.
I love it, all the Christmas songs.
Anyway, I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day today and that you get to spend time with your children and your families and your communities, and that it's just a day of togetherness.
Yeah. And thank you for taking some time today to listen to us. So today, Ané and I are going to chat about the year in review. So we thought a few things. The one both Ané and I have both had quite challenging years. And there are things that I've learned and Ané's learned in this time, which, you know, we thought if we shared with you, it might help some of you maybe going through similar things or prepare you for something that might come your way. And then we also thought we would share just everything that we've achieved in online pet health this year. So let's start with that, Danae. Let's start with like a year in review for online pet health. I think for us, one of the things that we did is different to any other year. It's a new thing for us, is we launched the PLR products. So for those of you that don't know what those are, they're private label rights products. And we'd been chatting to vet rehab therapists for a long time, and we've been encouraging them and saying to them, you have to write our little PDFs and write information booklets for your clients. And we really encourage all of you to educate the public, because that's really important for us. We have a fairly new field, and there are a lot of pet owners and a lot of veterinary professionals for that matter that are not really sure exactly what we do. And so the more we can get out there and lecture and speak to clients and create information booklets and PDFs and things that we can share online, the more we can educate people about our field. And so it was something that we'd really been encouraging. And so many of you are like, yes, I'd love to do that. I just don't have the time or the means to do it. And when I say that, it's not that hard to create them, but the hard part comes in when you have to design it and make it look, like your brand and all that kind of thing. And so we basically came up with this idea that we would create these for you. So we have now 12 different PDFs and 12 posters, which Ané has drawn and illustrated. 6 posters, sorry, 12 PDFs, 6 posters. And Ané has done all the drawings, and they're absolutely beautiful, guys. And if you've seen any of Ané's drawings, she's really, really, like, over the last 2 years, Ané, your drawings have just gone like from strength to strength. I know you spend a lot of time learning and improving your skills, but you can really see it. Just wanted to tell you that now. And so they basically are these PDFs where you can literally get the whole PDF. Everything's written, it's all been edited, and you can change the colors, you can change the fonts, you can add your logo in, and you can literally put your name on it, and you can send that out to your clients. And we've got various topics, from hip dysplasia to canine cognitive dysfunction, to amputees, cruciates, elbow dysplasia, loads and loads of different topics. And so, yeah, we created for you. So these are things that we launched. We launched the first one, I think it was about March, and then the second lot was about August, September, I think. And now we have, basically all those PDFs for you guys that you can actually use.
I actually have to tell you guys this. Like, every time I see someone market or share one of these products with their own colors and their own logo, I cannot tell you how happy it makes me. Like, I'm instantly doing a little happy dance, and I'm sharing it with everyone. I'm like, Llewellyn, look. And I go to my dad and I'm like, check out what this person has done, it's so cool. And I help them do that. And I love them, because I think the opportunities that they create for you and for your clients, there's just so many, and the ways that you could use them, there's so many. And I hope that they inspire you, and that you come up with great new ways to serve your clients with these products, and you find ways to take them further and to do more with them. And I love it every time I see someone using them. It makes my whole week.
I have exactly the same feeling.
Yeah.
I see somebody shares it, or it's in a story, and I'm like, yes, they're using it. Yeah, I mean, they really just take the work out of it. I mean, you don't have to write it, you don't have to do anything. All you got to do is change the color, the name, and put your logo in, and they're ready to go. And you can either gift them to your clients as information booklets, or some people are selling them online, not for hundreds and thousands or anything, but just a little bit of income that adds additional income to their practice. So these are different things that you can do with those. So that was the first thing that we did, and that was such an exciting project for us, because it was something so new, and we'd never created them before. And there were lots and lots of challenges that we had with them, and things that we had to think about, and questions that came afterwards that we hadn't thought about, but we really enjoyed that. And that was probably one of the funnest things that I've done this year in online pet health. And then the other thing is
probably the thing I'm most proud of this year.
Yeah. And then the other thing is we had our 300th podcast this year. I know. And when I say it, I'm just like, what?
What?
Good podcast. And back in 2017, when I first started the podcast, if somebody had told me I would have done 300 podcasts, I would say, like, no ways. Like, I'm never going to do it that long. And it literally has just been something that's carried on. And I think back to the time, and do you remember when I was doing it every 2 weeks? And do you
Yeah.
remember when I said to you, I came back from holiday? So, guys, my team hate it when I come back from holiday in January.
Yes.
I literally am so filled with ideas. If you give me space to think, and holiday is like my time, and my brain goes crazy, and then I just, on my notes on my phone, I just write all these things. So they absolutely hate it when I'm on holiday, because they like, in the new year, they're like, what ideas is Meg have? But we're a little bit better now, because I used to just make them do everything. And then eventually they're like, Meg, we can't do everything. So now we like prioritize stuff and we plan stuff a little bit better. But I came back in January and I was like, oh, come on. I came back in January and I was like, we are doing the podcast every week now. And I remember the team go, are you sure?
How?
What? How are we going to do that? And we literally have consistently done that. And that obviously increased the number of podcasts that we've done. So we're on 300, or we did 300, I think it was in March or so. So I think we're on, I don't know, what number podcast
I'm
is
going to
this?
tell you, this podcast is number 337. Today, you are listening to podcast number 337. Congratulations.
It's amazing for me. It really is amazing. And for those of you, and what I love about the podcast is I actually have inspired a whole lot of vet rehab therapists to start their own podcast. I have so many people recently, like this last year, and I get so excited when they say, oh, I listened to your podcast, and I'm like, I can do this too. And yeah, it's just, for me, when I first started, I literally didn't know what I was doing. I literally, and I was so disorganized. I used to record them on the Wednesday and then publish them on that very same day.
Oh
Do you
my
remember?
goodness.
Do you remember? I mean, I can't remember if you were helping me at that stage, because in the beginning I used to do all of that, and then Ané took over the podcast, and it's actually moved throughout the team now. Ané doesn't do any of the editing. Shanae does the editing of the podcast now, but I used to do all of it, and literally I was so behind, and I was only doing it every 2 weeks, but I was like, so now it's pretty organized. Like, we have months in advance of podcasts we're recording, and so yeah, that for me was quite an achievement, I must say, like celebrating that. And we had a fun, we had balloons, 300 balloons, and my kids did those poppers and everything, and yeah, we celebrated the day that we did the 300th podcast.
Well done, Meg. That's consistency.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that, and then the last one, obviously for me, is the big thing. I'm sure there are loads of other little things that we've achieved, but for me is always Vet Rehab Summit. So the Vet Rehab Summit is always such a big day for us at On Pet Health. We literally spend the whole year planning it, and like the 6 months before it's all we talk about in our team meetings is Vet Rehab Summits, building websites and how are we going to do this, and the lectures and whatever. And so this year was our 7th Vet Rehab Summit. Is that right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I always forget which year we're in. You ask me how many years I've worked for you. I don't know. How old is Online Pet Health? I don't know.
No, it's the 8th one this year. It's the 8th. Because 2017 was the first one, yeah. So it's the 8th. This year's the 8th Vet Rehab Summit. And, every time we do the Vet Rehab Summit, it's always such a big thing for us to choose the theme of the Vet Rehab Summit. And this year was a really, really tricky year. And I'm going to share, obviously my personal stuff, but a lot of you know that my husband had a stroke in January. And normally what happens is, that's when we sit down and we brainstorm, like, the topic and what we're going to do. And this year we were under a little bit of pressure because we had to change the date for the Vet Rehab Summit to August, the end of August, because both Ané and I were helping organize the IAVRPT conference in Cape Town, which was over a very similar time that the Vet Rehab Summit was. And both Ané and I were lecturing there. So we decided as a team that it's just too much pressure. And so we moved it. So we were under a little bit more pressure. My husband had just had a stroke. And we were trying to decide on what the topic was going to be. And usually I'm quite a decisive person. And they will know, like, I'll be like, they'll give me some options and I'll be like, that's what we're gonna do. We'll discuss it, but then I'll just know what the right answer was. And this year I really struggled. And I think probably because I was just in the state that I was in and just really struggling with my husband and my family and everything like that. And I remember just not knowing what to do. And we eventually went with the topic, which we were all a little bit worried about, because it's not your, what's the word, like it's not like a fun kind of topic. We were talking about the ethical dilemmas that vet rehab therapists have, so it's really not like something you want to really be bringing up, but it's important, so that, for us, we were like, this is an important topic. It's not fun, it's not exciting, but it is important and we need to talk about it. And we went through like the beginning part of the year wondering, like, is this actually going to take off? And then the Olympics happened, and there was just all this stuff about the Olympics and Charlotte Jordan and everything that happened with her, and all this ethical stuff just came up literally like a month or two before the Vet Rehab Summit. And it just literally was a platform to launch the Vet Rehab Summit, and it was such a success. So things happen for a reason. And I remember like worrying so much, like, is this the right topic? Have we chosen the right topic? And then when this happened, I was like, it's not great what's happened to Charlotte, but obviously this really helps us. And this is now, and so the conversations just came up, and Vet Rehab Summit just kept coming up because we said, oh, well, we're actually talking about all of this. We've organized the whole conference for you, all of you. So for me, those are my main things for online pet health. Is there anything you want to add in there?
I mean, I think the IAVRBT conference is also one of our highlights because, like you said, we both lectured there. We were part of the planning and the bringing it forward, and I was only part of a small part of the planning, but it was pretty awesome. It was really awesome to have the IAVRPT conference in Cape Town, and to know that we had a big part to play in that. I think it was fantastic, and I loved my lecture that I presented there. It was so good. It was about the industry report, which is an online pet health project. One of Megan's wonderful post-holiday ideas that blow up my entire year. It was great. So that was very fun for me. Yeah.
Look how much joy it's given you, that idea.
Just
Yeah, I must say for me, the IAVRPT conference was pretty surreal, because it was like an idea that I had in like 2018. And, having been to quite a few of them, I think it's like 6 or 7 now that I've been to, just, realizing it's just like either in Europe or it's in the USA. And I went to the one in 2018, and together with Marinette and a whole lot of the Equine Lib people, we'd sort of chat and we said, like, let's try and get the bid for the next one. Like, it'll be the first one in Africa. So yeah, this year was the first IAVRPT conference in the African continent, which is actually huge, really. And it was an idea of mine, in 2018. And I went to all these people and said, can you help me? Can you support me? And we created a little video, and we created a booklet, and we created little cards and everything. And just for it to actually happen, was quite surreal for me, because it was just this little idea, and eventually it did happen. And I was really proud, I must say, when I was at the IAVRPT conference. For me, one of the things that I love is to just increase awareness of veterinary rehabilitation. And I feel like sometimes here in South Africa, we're stuck down south, and especially for the vets and all the practices, veterinary practices, I wanted them to be aware of our profession. And a lot has changed over the last like 6 years since that idea. But to have this as the final thing, this is the profession that is growing drastically in South Africa, and it's a successful profession. And we had this international summit there. So yeah, that was really, really cool for me. And I also really enjoyed my lecture. So I lectured on how to add additional income streams to your practices. And I had such amazing feedback, which I think you did too on yours. So just people, I love helping people. So doing lectures like that, which inspire people, I actually did a podcast the other day, and it was two ladies from the Netherlands, and in their podcast they were like, "We've just like this is our plan. We're creating these online courses, and we're doing all of this. We were at your RAVRPT lecture, and we were inspired. We've been wanting to do this for 2 years." And I was like, "Yes, like that's why we do what we do, right? It's to inspire and to help people and help them grow." And yeah, so I agree. Another one on the list.
Another one on the list. So really, guys, if we've inspired you, please share that with us, because it's really, it fuels the fire for us and we love it. It's why we're doing what we're doing. So let us know. Okay.
And it gets a little lonely online sometimes, you'll get some emails and things like that, but like attending the IAVP conference and speaking to people like in person is so amazing. And like you actually realize the impact that you're having in the community by speaking to the people. And often I think people will think something, but they won't necessarily click reply. We do get a lot of emails. So I just want to say thanks to all of you guys. I read every single email that you guys reply to. So when we send out the weekly review and you click reply and I read every single one of them, and I absolutely love them. But at times it can be a little bit lonely. It's nice to speak to people.
Yeah, it is. I agree. So from a personal perspective, I think, you've said both you and I have had pretty challenging years, and I think it's important to share that with our community and to share what we've been going through. From my side, I'm actually a very private person. So if you follow me on Facebook, you have no idea what's actually happening in my life, because I don't ever speak about it. But Meg, would you share with our followers, with our community, what you and your family have gone through this year and some of the things that has taught you?
Yeah. So January the 11th, probably one of the worst days of my life. I mean, there's some bad days, but that was a really bad day for me when Graham had a stroke. So such a shock to our family. My husband is fit. Like when I say fit, he's like super fit. Like he doesn't eat any sugar. He does everything right. So for him to have a stroke, and it wasn't just like an average stroke, it was like a really bad stroke. The medication that they gave to try and dissolve the clot didn't work. He had to have surgery. They normally try 3 times to remove the clot. After 3 times, they couldn't. They went on to 8 times and eventually removed it. And the surgeries normally takes 45 minutes, took 2.5 hours with him. So it really was like hectic. And at the time, I think I didn't really realize, the impact that it had on me, because I think I just went into veterinary mode. I was like, I need to be calm. I got my kids here. I needed to be calm for his dad. We were all and I just went into veterinary mode. And I think for me, actually, the first time that I actually was able to like literally take a breath was actually probably when he was transferred to the rehab center, because then I realized like we were out of the danger period, and he had to work on himself. But we went through days of him, he couldn't speak, he couldn't move his whole left side of his body, he was completely paralyzed, he was in a wheelchair for 9 weeks. But my husband, being the type of person that he is, and we actually have quite similar characters, so it actually helps because we understand each other. But he is literally, his work ethic is on another level, and because he's been a professional athlete before, training for him is normal. Pain is normal, because he is a world champion surf ski paddler, world champion canoe marathon paddler. So in order to be at that level, you have to be able to endure pain. You have to be consistent. You have to be the type of person that even if you don't want to, you keep doing it and you keep practicing and you keep trying. And so all these skills that he had acquired through being a professional athlete actually stood him in such good stead to rehabilitate him. And interestingly, when we went to the rehab center, which he was there for like 2.5 months, he told everyone, we're not calling it a step down facility or rehab center, we're calling it the training camp. So that was it. That was his mindset. Like, this is the training camp, and every day he did it. Some days he didn't want to do it. And I suppose for me, like, it was great in a way that I had such knowledge on rehabilitation and the neurological system and neuroplasticity. And I was able to explain a lot to him, which I think was so helpful for him because, and I think a lot of the journey, like when you have somebody in your family that has done that is the people when you don't understand. But I was really able to understand where he was, how he was feeling like, and I think about my patients and, the ups and downs where you feel like you're getting somewhere and then suddenly you feel like you're going backwards, and that's normal. It's okay. And I would say to him, it's okay, this is normal. You're going to have up and down, but it's over the month how you've progressed, not from day to day. You're going to have a bad day here and there. And so it was actually great having all that knowledge to be able to support him. Anyway, that was for me, it was 3 months of really hectic, just no time. I was literally at the hospital trying to be there for my kids. My middle child got health anxiety, which was really stressful. She thought she was going to die all the time. She was worried my husband was going to die. I was going to die. If she was next to somebody and they coughed or just cleared their throat, she would like have a panic attack and think that she was going to get COVID from them or get sick and go to hospital. And so there was so many challenges in the beginning of the year. And probably the next 3 months after he came back home was probably even the hardest, being there to support him, still being there to support the kids. But you know what? I think probably the biggest thing that I learned from it is, I'm the type of person that is go, 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 go all the time. And I really had to just embrace the presence. I had to embrace where I was. And I had to realize that this year is not going to be one where I'm going to have massive personal growth. And I thought I wasn't going to have massive personal growth, but I just grew in another way. And, in my mind, personal growth is like reading books to improve myself, reading business books and all that kind of thing. So, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm always reading books. I'm always trying to improve myself, learning from people. And I didn't have the time and capacity like I normally did. I still have done it, but not like I normally do. And I thought to myself, no, this is going to be just that year for me. I'm just not going to grow. And I had a bit of panic around that because that's not part of my 5-year goal, right? I've got all these goals, and this year I had goals, it was January already. So I'd sat down and planned what I was going to do. But to be honest, actually, I achieved actually quite a lot of them. Despite all of that, through the support of UNA and my team. So I want to say, like, one of the things I really realized is how important it is to have good people around you and to have a good team, because I definitely would not have got through this year without the team that was around me. My online pet health team are just so supportive all the time. So, and I just want to take this opportunity to thank you. And the rest of the online pet health team was just always there for me. My team of friends that were around me, everyone just came together and supported me. And so for me, like, I just realized how important that is. Not that I didn't know it, but it really just makes you like really, really realize that you need people around you that are going to support you through this time. And I think that's one of our real strengths at Online Pet Health. We have an amazing team. Like, everyone goes through different things, and our team always steps up and supports one another. And that's sometimes rare. You don't often get people, you don't often get every single person that's going to step up. So yeah, so I just really had to embrace that, this is how it is, and be okay with that. And like I said, although I thought I wasn't going to grow, I really did grow, just in a different way. And I think the other thing that I really learned was just to keep going, even when you get knocked back. And more things happen throughout the year. So many of you guys know this because I share a lot of it in the weekly review, but we lost our pony, Silver, which was just such a shock to us. And, literally like 3 weeks ago, my husband was back in hospital with a back problem. And so it's just been like one thing after another. My mom, who's 76, is getting divorced. So that was another thing that I had to deal with, like, towards the end of this year. And it's just been one thing after another. But what I learned is that it's fine. Like, these things will come your way. They'll knock you back. You just get back up and you just keep going and just be okay with how things are right now. And I think for me, I'm the type of person that always has a plan B. So having those plan B always made these situations, as bad as they were and as hectic as they were in my life, because I had a plan B, it was actually okay for everything. I'm always that type of person that is thinking, if this happens, then what? If this, then what? And so, for example, in online pet health, we have like a succession plan. If somebody's down, this is what happens. People get covered. And so having those planning and having all those kind of things in place really just made this year go a little bit easier, as hard as it was for me. So yeah, I think for me, it's just been, it feels like the year has flown by, despite how hard it's been. It's like, I can't believe that we're like in December now. It's just crazy. But I must say, really looking forward to a new year. I feel like I need this year to end for it to be a new start for me and for my family, and just like start a fresh year again. But yeah, who knows? I remember once going to this lady. She used to do like Reiki on me and things like that. She actually started off being like a person who did like waxing and facials and things. And then she said, I also do Reiki, and you're looking very stressed. Let me do some Reiki on you. And I remember her doing this Reiki on me. And then like over the time, she just started bringing out more things, And then I would get there, and then she would have these cards, these tarot cards. And to be honest, I wasn't really into it, I was just like, okay, like, so she just like phased me into this kind of world of hers, like with tarot cards first, and then the crystals, and then the Reiki. And I loved the Reiki, so I did all the things just to get the Reiki, because I must say I just loved it. My body just needed it, And I remember her doing this thing with these cards, and I remember at that day, like, she's saying to her, like, I'm having such a bad year. It's just like one thing after another. And she said something to me like, and she's like, what year were you born in? And she went all these things, and she's like, if you look at like the Chinese way of things, I'm like in the year of the rat or something like that. And she's like, we get this like every 12 years, like the year of the rat. Like when you have the year of the rat, it's going to be a bad year, but don't worry, the year afterwards is usually like your best year, like ever. And I actually was thinking about that the other day, because I thought back and I was like, it's probably about 12 years ago that I went to her and she told me it was the year of the rat. So maybe, I don't know how or any of this works, but maybe this year was my year of the rat. And now hopefully I'm like, whatever the next year is going to be a good one.
If you only have bad years in a 12-year cycle, Meg, that's fantastic.
No, really bad years. No, really bad. You can have bad ones in between, but like really bad ones. This is my really bad year. Yeah.
Sure.
So tell us about you, Ané. Tell us about your year.
So I got to choose my fire this year. You've had fire thrust upon you, and I chose it. So this year I decided to redo my degree. And because I know exactly how you guys are responding, because everyone has responded the same way, why would I redo my degree? Just a little bit of context. So in South Africa, veterinary physiotherapy as a profession has been promulgated as a standalone registered profession. There are a lot of things that go with that and a lot of things around that. But for it to become promulgated, there had to be an educational route into the field, so a direct pathway of education, which is what I studied. So I did a 4-year degree course into the profession of veterinary physiotherapy, but a degree cannot be registered before a profession is available, and a profession can't be promulgated before an entry into the field is available. So that registration of the qualification and the promulgation of the profession had to happen together, hand in hand. And when I completed my I keep saying degree because I don't know how else to, what else to call it, but when I completed it, it wasn't fully registered as a degree. Now I knew that then, and I was fully aware, and I've been involved in the entire process throughout the years. But essentially, once it became the profession became promulgated, the degrees registration completed, and now the people that are qualifying from there have that degree. But I and a lot of people in basically the first, I don't actually know how many years, but the majority of us who qualified from the institution don't have a degree because we couldn't have one prior to the profession being promulgated. And essentially what that means is that I can't go on to do my master's because I don't have a degree. And I'm a little bit limited if I wanted to leave the country for some reason and work in a different country. And essentially, I spent 4 years doing this thing and I don't have anything to show for it. I have a lot to show for it. I am a registered professional. I can work in my industry. I'm doing fantastic work. So I'm grateful for all of that. But I decided to take the leap and redo it so that I can have that degree. I don't have to redo the entire thing. I only redo 50% of the course because there is recognition of prior learning, which is great. And I can do it from home for the most part. I did spend a lot of time in Plet this year, but the majority of the work and the studying and the exams and the tests and the assignments and I can do from home and from wherever I am. But the first year is a full first year minus a practical subject. It's only one practical subject. So it's been a tough first year. I don't know if you guys remember back to your first year, but anatomy, physiology, general sciences, it is a lot and it's difficult subjects. And I haven't been a first year student in 12 years. So it was tricky. It was hard, but I chose that. And my husband's been fantastic. So he's taken over our children and our household management, all the things that would traditionally be my role and my responsibility, he's taken on, and that's allowed me to do this and to still work. But that has been my year. And in addition to that, Megan decided that we're going to launch PLR products, which is a lot of work, guys, creating them, writing all the content, preparing it. The summit was early and the IAVRPT conference followed. So I had exam, mid-year exams, mid-year exams, PLR launch, summit, IAVRPT conference, final exams. So the week before the IAVRPT conference, I was in Plet doing dissections and writing tests. And the week after the IAVRPT conference, I was in Plet doing an oral anatomy exam. And for the rest of November, I have been writing physiology exams and confirmation exams. And so it's been a very full year, a very high pressure year, and a very performance driven year. So I think the things that I've really had to wrap my mind around is that, there was no time off. So 7 days a week, evenings, I was either working or studying. There were no Sundays, there were no Saturday morning hikes, all of those things that kind of recharge my battery. I stopped working with the horses because there was just no time for that. And that one's hard for me because I know I've consistently known that when I stop spending time with my horses, my stress levels become difficult to manage and to keep under control. So I had to find a different way to rest. And for me, it became less about taking time to rest and more about having an attitude or a mindset of rest and a mindset of I am able to. So initially I thought that I would have to have more boundaries and stronger no's in place for this year, and it was the opposite. I needed to have more of an open mindset, more of this feeling of I am capable, and yes, I will. And that's been really, really valuable to me. So it's kind of, there have been times where it's been like, well, instead of saying no, I cannot complete X project, I've said yes, I can, I will, and I'm going to do it well. And I have, and that's been really great. So I don't know if that is, right or wrong or healthy or not healthy. Well, I have been able to find like that feeling of rest. So not taking time off, but rather being very present in the time that I am, and taking the opportunities that are in front of me. So as an example, we're obviously not recording this on the 25th of December. We're recording this in November. I'm sorry to put that out there, but I want to tell you that because this morning my children had to go to school and I went for a quick run because I was delayed by my children. And at the end of my run, I jumped into the pool, and before I could get out, my 2-year-old came running out into the garden in his costume and came to join me in the pool. So is there time to have a swim with a 2-year-old in the morning rush of getting ready for school? No. Did I do it? Yes. I took 10 minutes to just swim with him and have fun in the swimming pool, and it's that I've been doing this year. So where the opportunity presents itself to find joy in a moment, I have taken it. Instead of focusing on the tasks that needed to be complete, I've tried to find moments and pockets of joy and contentment, and to be very present and very focused in those moments. I'm very happy to say the kids arrived at school on time because, I gave them an easy breakfast instead of making an egg omelet. So there are always ways to kind of be, to find the joy, find the little things. I spent 6 weeks in Plet to write exams, and in that 6-week period, I did not go with my family so that I could really crunch my work together with my studies. And I made a point of going for a walk on the beach in the evenings, and I could take a 2-hour walk in the late afternoon, not because 2 hours is a big block of time, but because I was able to wake up early and work late. I didn't have the other commitments of having a family. So finding the ways that you can be present, finding joy and contentment in every moment, that allowed me to rest while I was working. And the kind of an extension of that is to not think too far ahead. Just focus on the task you're working on. That is all that matters right now in this moment. Do what is in front of you to do. Once that's done, you can do the next thing and you can move on to the next thing. So that, and then balancing that with planning ahead. I know those are not the same thing, but they happen at different times, right? So when you're in the space of doing things, you are just focused on what you're doing. And when you're planning ahead, you make sure that you have a plan to deal with all the things that are on your plate. When are you going to do them? How are you going to do them? What are you going to need to be able to complete them successfully? How much time or which resources do you need? Again, because I planned ahead, I could say I need 6 weeks in plate if I'm going to complete this amount of PLR products in time and get through my exams and not murder my children, because I don't handle stress very well. So that's how that was the big thing for me. Really getting good at planning, and then getting really good at being in the space that I am and being present in the moment, and recognizing that I'm choosing the fire, and there's a good reason to choose the fire. Don't always do it. Don't always choose the hard road, but sometimes you can, and you're going to come out on the other side stronger and better for it. And so that was really the choice that I made this year. Yeah.
Love it. Thanks for sharing that. I have a recurring nightmare, which I want to share with you. And it's actually about having to do my veterinary degree over again. And I'm actually not joking. I literally have this nightmare where, and I don't know why, I think I actually chose to do it. Like, I finished my degree, I qualified, and then in the nightmare, I choose because I want to be a better vet and I want to, like, I didn't study hard enough or whatever. And I go through the whole thing again. And everyone says to me, so when you were talking about this, I was actually just, this nightmare came up, and everyone says to me, why would you do that? Like, you're qualified, you can just go work, and you can just like improve your skills, and and I was like, no, I need to do this. And what happens in the nightmare, and I've actually in one of the nightmares done it 3 times. So I've repeated my degree 3 times. And what happens is when I'm in it and I start again, they won't let me be a vet, because even though I've got the qualification, the university makes me complete it again. And that's
Oh.
the nightmare part of it, is like I've made this decision to do this, and actually, like, in second year or third year, I'm like, no, I actually just want to go and be a vet now, like, and that's what and they say, no, you've decided to do this again, you need to complete it, that's it. If you want to be a vet now, you have to finish this. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, what was I doing? Why did I think to do that? And like I said, one of the nightmares that I've had, I remember even doing it 3 times. So I qualified twice and went ahead and did it again. But it really is a nightmare. I mean, I would not want to go ahead and do that again. It was hard work. So yeah, good on you for deciding on doing that. And I remember we had conversations. It wasn't this year; it was the year before, right? About you doing this, and you were like, I'm not sure if I want to do this. And I remember just like going through all the things. And I know at times this year you thought, that's it, like, I'm going to stop, I can't do this anymore. And I remember just saying to you, you can't. You started this and it's like my nightmare. Once you've done it, you got to keep going, you can't stop, so you're going to carry on. And you have, and you've done it. So it has been a challenging year, then, and really, really hard to be able to study. But I mean, yeah, to be able to study, keep working, keep running a family, you've done amazing. And now you can relax. December now, hey, holidays, a little bit of relax. You have to relax.
I think that you mentioned there that I actually had specific checkpoints for myself. So I had a mid-year checkpoint and then a checkpoint at the end of the year again, where I was going to give myself permission to stop. So I started on this path, but I gave myself permission to not finish if it wasn't the right decision, if the cost of doing it. And I say that in terms of like, if it was going to cost me my work or my family, I wouldn't continue. So I gave myself permission in the middle of the year to stop if I chose to, and again at the end of the year to stop if I chose to, and just give. I think that was really important. I also had a point in the year where I realized that I needed to give myself permission to fail, because I had created the rule that just like I had given myself permission to stop if I needed to at specific checkpoints, not when it got hard, but during a period of reflection, looking back on the year, was it worth it? Do I want to continue to do this? That was the checkpoint that I gave myself. In the same way, I had said to myself, if I fail a subject, it will be a sign for me that I need to stop, right? That this isn't what I'm going to do. And that was such a bad idea, because the pressure that it created for me to not fail really hard subjects. Okay, I haven't failed anything, so it wasn't an issue, but that expectation that I had for myself was too much pressure. And so before this last set of exams, before the IAVRPT conference, I actually had to say to myself, do you know what? If you fail, it's still okay, and you do have permission to continue. It's not an all or nothing situation. You can do the best that you can do, and it will be fine. And even if that's failing, it's not failure, it's a learning curve, and it's an opportunity, and you're just going to see it as that. So that was interesting. Yeah, I realized that I have a problem with failure that I didn't know that I had.
I think we all do. I think nobody wants to fail. But I love how you reframed that for yourself and realized. I think that takes a lot of self-awareness to be able to realize that that's putting pressure on you. I think a lot of us don't actually realize those things. We only after the fact will think, gee, thank goodness I didn't fail anything. And then you'll be like, I didn't actually realize how worried I was actually about failing and how that was actually affecting me. So
I think
yeah.
that's so important, Meg, is to have time of self-reflection where you say, okay, and whatever you need to do that, right? So for me, it comes easiest when I have conversations with the people that I trust. It's easier than if I sit down and try and figure it out for myself, especially when I'm very stressed. When I'm very stressed, and I think we're all like that. It's really hard then to take some introspection time and to say, what are the things that are stressing me out? Why are they stressing me out? What can I do about them? It's much easier for me when I have conversations with people and then those things can be identified. But just try and identify them. If you find yourself in a space of high stress, what can you do about it? I got help from my doctor. I went on to some medication over the last the last period of the year into the IAVRPT conference and my final exams, because I was no longer coping with the level of pressure that I was under, and I just needed to get through that 6-week period to the other side, and I could do it. I was ready. I had prepared myself, but being very stressed reduces your performance, and then all of a sudden you can't do the work that you need to do. So I chose to get help in that time period. And again, that's something a lot of us need to give ourselves permission to do, because we feel like we have to do it all on our own, and you don't. So identify when you need to get help and then get the appropriate help, whatever that is for you, and find ways to reduce the stress of what you're going through. So is it because your expectations of yourself are unfair? Like I had the expectation to not fail, and actually it was okay to fail a test or an exam. In the big scheme of things, it's irrelevant if I fail a test or an exam. It doesn't make a difference to my work, to my value as a human being, to who I am as a mother. Doesn't make a difference to any of my patients. It makes no difference if I fail a subject. Do you have that kind of expectation of yourself, and can you shift your perspective around that? Because sometimes just a shift in perspective is enough to take that pressure off. Do you need to find other ways to support yourself? Do you need to go for a walk in the morning? Do you need to cut down on coffee? Do you need to reevaluate your diet and find a way to eat better? Or is the choices of what you eat at night causing additional stress and anxiety in your life? And I know that's so simple, but if you run a household and you're a parent, how much stress does what's for dinner cause you, Meg?
No,
Yeah.
well, it used to cause me a lot, but that was a big stress for me. So now I've sorted it out. So I have somebody who comes on a Friday and makes a whole lot of meals and freezes them. And that's how I sort it out, so that I don't have to think that. And then every Thursday is pizza night, which I love. So we get takeaway pizzas, and that I don't have to think about that day. So yes, I hear you. Like there are so many things. You just got to find a plan, a way to make it better. Frozen meals, supper, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah. So just find the things that are stressing you out. And some of them can be so small, and you just keep doing the same things over again.
Yeah.
And it keeps stressing you out, and you don't think that there's a
Because
solution.
you don't recognize it. You don't
Yeah.
realize. Yeah. So
Exactly.
yeah. Find that thing that makes your heart go, and then do something about that. And just do something about one thing at a time until you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm okay. Yeah.
And one thing as you're talking now, which I feel like you didn't have this year, and it was just the situation that you had. But it's one thing that in my organizing and me trying to minimize my stress, is a buffer. And you had no buffers this year. You didn't have the capacity to have a buffer. And for me, having buffers is really what helps me. And when I say have a buffer, it means that I used to be the type of person that would be like, I block my time from like 8 to 9, I'm doing this, 9 to 10, I'm doing this. And then I would be like 10 to 11, I'm doing this. And I would block everything. And then one thing would run over time. And then that would stress me out because I'd be like, I'm not going to finish. And instead of, when I did my time blocking, I would do all of that. But then I would say from 12 to 1 is my buffer. That means that if I'm finished, great. I just have some more time for myself. I can read or do whatever, play with the dog or whatever I want to be. But if I haven't, then I've got space to fill in, and it doesn't make me late for the next thing that I'm going to do. So putting those buffers in my time scheduling, and those buffers for me can be on a daily basis, but I also have buffers within my month. So when I'm trying to sort things out and plan my month and what I'm going to do, I always have a week where I'm not creating or doing anything major. That's like my buffer week. It's my week that allows me to catch up, because there's a strong possibility I haven't finished what I was going to do last week, and I need a buffer. And if you just keep planning and going, so yeah, that is another thing that I'd recommend. Like, and to be honest, I used to actually have this in my practice. I used to have a buffer time in my practice. The times when it was very, very crazy and busy and I didn't, was definitely more stressful. But having little buffer times, even if it's just one mid-morning and one in the afternoon, just to catch up, just if that client's late and whatever, just to go to the toilet. It is sometimes you don't even get a chance to go to the loo because the next client's waiting. So yeah, I just think of ways in which small things, they don't change anything major in the big scheme of things. You still get everything done. You still see all those clients every day. Just minimizes the stress. So yeah, after you and I having a stressful year, these are things that we look back and think, okay, what are the things that helped us?
Our moments of introspection and sharing with you guys, I think, thank you for listening.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing, and yeah, to all of you, I hope that this inspires you to actually sit back and have a look at your year. So how did your year go? What are the things that you achieved? Think about the things you achieve. Often we think about all the bad things, the other things that I achieved. I actually ran like a mountain marathon, or it wasn't a marathon, half marathon, 23 Ks, like literally from one side of Cape Town to the other side. It was absolutely hectic, but I did it. I did this in July. So it's another thing that I achieved, which is huge for me. So like, yes, a whole lot of bad things happen, but loads of good things also happen. So sit down and think about all the good stuff. Think about the bad things. Think about how you handle it. Think about how you can handle it better, so that next time those kind of things, because if you don't do that, then you're never learning, never get better at handling things. And, so yeah.
Yeah. The fire, whatever fire we go through, we have the opportunity to come out better on the other side, but we have to choose that. We have to choose to improve ourselves, to learn something, to get stronger, to develop a new skill. If we don't choose that, we won't come out stronger on the other side. You just burn. So I think that's important. You get to choose how you come out on the other side of whatever challenge you're facing.
And just wishing that none of you have next year of the rat, or whatever that is. For you, Ané.
No,
no rat years next year for anyone.
Let's lunge 2025, right? Before we go into
it. Cool, Ané. Thanks. Awesome chatting.
Have a great day.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about all things vet rehab. A big thanks to our sponsor, Curacao Vet. Their sponsorship allows us to be able to give this podcast to you for free, so please go and check them out at curacao.org. Please also don't forget to bookmark the next Vet Rehab Summit. It's on Saturday the 8th of November in 2025. Come and be a part of the world's largest online veterinary rehabilitation conference created specifically for you, the vet rehabber community. Online Pet Health members, you get VIP complimentary access to the Vet Rehab Summit. For more information about continuing education for vet rehabbers, you can go to onlinepetshealth.com.